do you don't know, PDVSA used to be the fifth biggest oil company in the world, with the biggest reservoir in the planet. But it's become a mess. This will be part of my story. This is my book, From Hero to Villain. Today is Saturday. Today is November 18th, 2017. I remind that I am going with my driver, Felix. I'm going to pick up my wife, Mary. She's in her small shop. Felix is a very discreet chauffeur, very diligent. He has a very good humor. He's a typical Central American guy from Salvador. He has been driver for several CEOs. He has been chauffeur of the president of this company during almost 15 years. I want to tell you that I work with an oil multinational company. His name is Citgo Petroleum Company. I tell Felix that please to hurry up. Today is the world premiere of the DC comic, The Justice League. And I don't want to plan to miss it for anything in the world. So I'm very excited to go to this movie. So finally, we pick up her, we go to the movie, and as usual, we sit down, bartender comes, I order my scotch, she orders his Grey Goose vodka, we're enjoying the movie, and boom, the cell phone begins to ring. It is because, has been a nightmare for me during the last month, They don't leave me alone. These top Venezuelan guys, they don't leave me alone. They're driving me crazy. Venezuela is a fucking mess. Venezuela has become a fucking mess, and these guys are totally screwed up and want us to solve all their situations. This fucking Maduro regime has been during the last year so bad, has screwed up totally the economy. It's become a disaster, and the people are starving. The people are literally running away of the country. There is no food, there is no medicine, and the people have to be living massively. It has been one of the biggest diaspora in the history. Around 6 to 7 million Venezuelans have left the country. There is no international credit, totally closed, because the tyranny that ruled this company during the last 2 decades has become illegitimate. That is not being recognized by mostly none of the countries of the world. I have forgotten to tell you that same Friday, August 26th, a hovering over Venezuela's sky came. That was because due to the oppressive regime of Maduro, the U.S. government that was running by Donald Trump at 4 p.m., the U.S. Treasury Secretary announced sanctions to Venezuela and to the national state-owned company Petróleos de Venezuela, PDVSA, by the way, the owner of Citgo. This was the beginning of everything that came after and became my worst nightmare. Since that day, my life turned into a hell. And today, in the movie theater, that phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing insistently. I decided to take out of the jack of my suit, and it's when I realized that who is been calling me so insistently. It was an M. I will say NM. That is his name. And I answered the call, and he yells at me, "What the fuck is happening to you, Jose? Why don't you are answering that fucking phone? Fuck, don't you realize that it is an emergency? We need you to come to Caracas tomorrow. There has a very urgent meeting call by the Venezuelan government to review the whole issue of the sanctions and review how to handle the budget and the operation after those shitty sanctions. In that meeting it will be the Vice President of Venezuela, the Finance Ministry, and myself," he told me, as an Energy Minister of Venezuela. In that meeting will be also EDP and all the presidents of the PDVSA subsidiaries. So it's necessary your presence in that important meeting. I realized that, okay, I have to go. I asked him, okay, who should travel with me? And he told me, all the Venezuelan Citgo vice presidents that had dual nationalities. That means that they are Venezuelan Americans. Those born in America, please, no travel. There are only three of them, and we don't need them. By the time I said, okay, makes sense. He don't want to have American there. He wants dual national that speaks Spanish and have Venezuelan looking. So it's okay. It's a budget meeting, end of year, nothing wrong. So I talked to Mavis and explained to her what was going on. This is part of my normal life. During the last 5 years, at least, this last minute unplanned meeting has been all the times. I'm sick and tired of this. I really am sick and tired of this situation. But I tell Melvis, mommy, you know how this works. I will go, I attend that meeting, one day there, I'm going to go back. After that, boom, go back to house, prepare our Thanksgiving. We're going to have our kids coming to town. They already, I'm really excited about that because they already told me they're going to be here in Houston with us. We're going to have a very nice Thanksgiving after years. We have been separated. After that, I take my vacations. I have like 8 vacations that I have to take. I'm gonna take only one. I pick my mother-in-law in Venezuela, your mom. I pick my Aunt Lilia that is like my mom. I go with my 2 grannies to Aruba, stay a month with her. I spoil her. And then in January, boom, I'm gonna be preparing my retirement. That one trip to Venezuela got converted in 5 years. Five long years. We were kept as kidnapped, as hostage, and wrongfully detained in Venezuela. We got charged of crimes that we never committed. We had to wait 5 long years that the diplomatic arrangement between United States and Venezuela. We were charged for espionage, treason to the country, embezzlement, corruption, whatever. But I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jose Pereira. My full name is Jose Angel Pereira Rembeck. And I can tell you, I'm the CEO of Citgo. Citgo Petroleum is one of the largest refineries in the U.S. It's between the 6th to the 8th largest refinery in the U.S. It runs more than 5.5 thousand of gas stations in the U.S. At some point, we run 50,000 gas stations. So to explain to my readers and to understand now what is the drama, what is the nightmare that became these 5 years, we were kept in the two famous dungeons that exist in the Venezuelan regimes. One of them is called Boleita and belongs to a very repressive institution called the DGCIM, that is like a military political police in Venezuela. And there is the Helicoide. It's very famous because there is where are all the civilian political prisoners in Venezuela. Where I was lucky to be in both, with the military prisoners and with the civil political prisoners. And these 2 dungeons are typically like living in a Nazi concentration camp. So this became one of the dramatic and bizarre twists of my story. The media put it the so-called Citgo 6. I'm one of the Citgo 6. So this case is intimately linked to the Venezuelan crisis, which goes to the rise and the fall of PDVSA, one of the biggest companies in the world with the biggest reservoir in the oil. In the last 2 decades, this Bolivarian revolution was run first by Chavez, and Maduro took the power and has continued, is part of my story. Part of my story, totally tied with what has going on with the PDVSA in the oil industry, and Citgo is part of that. But to tell my story, I had to go back to my origin. So to understand this, we had to go back to there. So let's start from here. Let's go back to the 20th century. Let's go back to 1920. So enjoy the ride, because that is the origin of everything.